Hi, my name is Michael Grady, and this is my audience for my speech.
Today I'm going to talk to you about my flight experience to Atlanta, Georgia, flying from Buffalo. Well, it all started like all nice and clear, and it was beautiful out in Buffalo. It was kind of snowy a little bit, but it was also very cold. But we also stopped at barbecue before we went to the airport. Everything was going great. Everything was in order. We get to the airport, and unfortunately, our plane is delayed, and that's when all hell breaks loose, pretty much. Because after the plane was delayed, we had to wait about 2 to 3 hours just to board the plane. Then once we boarded the plane, it was very crowded. We sat on the runway for about an hour. And then when we finally took off in the sky, everything was great. There was no problems or anything like that. Then the captain was alerting us that there was some bad weather down in Georgia and that we were going to have a pretty rough landing. However, he forgot to mention to us we also just sat around the skies for about probably an extra 20 to 30 minutes before we can land. So at this point, I'm kind of freaking out because I've never landed in such horrible weather before, and neither has my fiance, and she is not a good flyer at all. She is the worst flyer ever. I'm a pretty good flyer, and I love planes and everything like that, but this experience pretty much haunted me till today. And what happened is when we went to go try to attempt to land, the captain went on the intercom and said, "Ladies and gentlemen, we've been circling for the last 20 minutes. We're running out of fuel. We are going to attempt to land the plane." Now, when you hear the pilot say attempt to land the plane, the first thing that comes to your mind is how safely are we going to land, or what's the problem besides the storms. But he assured us that nothing was wrong with the plane or anything like that, but landing the plane was going to be difficult due to the storms in the area. As we started descending into Atlanta, we noticed that the clouds were starting to go fast, and you can hear the rumbles of thunder and the lightning. And the worst thing about the lightning was the fact that when it was lightning around the cabin, it was an orange-yellow glow, so it looked like the plane was actually on fire. And at that point, I was having my anxiety attack, and so was my fiance. As we were flying through the sky and going through from the top to the bottom, before we can land something that usually you can see the ground. At this point, it was raining so bad and the lightning was so bad, you couldn't see the ground, you couldn't see anything. Everything was just big flashes. And at this point, my hand was turning actually white because Courtney was grabbing it so hard where I just couldn't even feel my hand. We attempted to land the first time, and before we could actually land, the pilot actually pulled right back up because it wasn't clear there was another plane on the ground. So that right there was scary because I don't understand how the tower couldn't know that there was a plane there or ready to take off or land or whatever it was doing as we were trying to land. So then we had to go back up in the air and circle the airport again. Remind you, he already told us once that we were running out of gas. So to recircle the airport was going to be a terrifying nightmare because how much more gas do we actually have and how far do we have to go out to land the plane? So as we circle around to go in line for the next landing, the weather starts getting up worse. The wind starts really howling. The plane starts shaking in different directions. The plane that we're in was kind of a smaller plane, so our plane was kind of being thrown around by everything. And as we were approaching to land, he was pretty much telling us to brace ourselves in a way because the way the winds were coming in from the crosswinds, and our plane was going to come in kind of sideways and then try to straighten itself out right before we landed. So we started coming in from the west, and it was not looking pretty because eventually I could see the runway, at least from my corner of view, and we would go try to land, and the plane actually landed almost like this and then had to correct itself at the last second. When it corrected itself at the last second, it pretty much jolted everybody around, and everything was flying around. I think part of the baggage stuff from the top, some things fell down, and then once we hit the ground, it felt like we skipped like a rock, which it's not supposed to do. It's supposed to be a steady, soft landing, and unfortunately it wasn't. So he pretty much had to slam on the brakes, and you can hear the roar of the engines trying to stop and everything like that. And eventually we did stop, but it came within inches of the runway actually ending. And then afterwards, we actually, everybody's clapping, relieved. I was done having my anxiety attack. My fiance was, thank God, alive after that. But it was one of the worst experiences I've ever experienced. Actually, when we got to the gate, they actually had police officers, had ambulances there and stuff just in case that somebody didn't get hurt or anything like that. So, but everybody was fine. It was okay. We made it from there, from Buffalo to Atlanta, no problems at all. But I hope nobody can experience that what we went through ever again. But thank you for listening to my story, and hope everybody enjoyed.
And this is my audience once again. Thank you.